My name is Jasmine. I am actually a program manager at working at ILSS, and I am currently anchoring the EWLP program here at ILSS. And I'm so delighted to have every one of you join us in this session where we are going to be understanding and decoding what this program is, what is this information that we are going to receive about the Emerging Women's Leadership Program at ILSS, and what better to do that if not through the voices of our dearest program alumni. We have Tiasha Banerjee and Mahalakshmi who has joined us on this session, along with Archana Ramachandran from ILSS, who is going to be in conversation with them. With that, I'm going to be taking some time to formally introduce Tiasha, Mahalakshmi, and Archana into the space. So if I can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So Tiasha Banerjee is the Deputy CEO at Adhyayan Quality Education Foundation, a capacity building organization dedicated to improving the quality of educational leadership and learning outcomes. During her time at Adhyayan, she has led the fundraising vertical with a focus on institutional donors and partnerships. She's also an active member of the Varta Leap Coalition Youth Collective. Tiasha has completed her master's in development from Azim Premji University, her bachelor's in mass media, and also has been a part of the Teach for India Fellowship from Pune. Welcome, Tiasha. Welcome into the space. Thank you for joining in.
You.
Thank you. Next, we have Mahalakshmi. Mahalakshmi is a manager, branding and communication at Janaagraha, dedicated to transforming city systems. With nearly 12 years of experience within the organization, Mahalakshmi has played a crucial role in its communication and branding efforts. Before joining Janaagraha, she worked as a freelancer and software developer. She began her career as a research assistant at the Indian Institute of Astrophysics. In her free time, she enjoys conducting free computer classes for seniors and contributes to strategizing the online brand establishments for startups. Mahalakshmi holds a postgraduate degree in Masters in Computer Application and also a bachelor's degree in instrumentation. Welcome, Mahalakshmi. Welcome to the space. We also have Archana, who is going to be moderating the session and will be in conversation with both Mahalakshmi and Tiasha. Archana leads the work on learning and programs at ILSS. Archana's experiences have focused on learning and leadership across the corporate, government, and social sectors. Prior to ILSS, she worked as the city director at Teach for India for the TFI Fellowship and Alumni Movement. And before that, she has also worked with Infosys Leadership Institute and Boston Public Schools in the areas of human capital, change management, and diversity and inclusion. Archana is also an alumna of the Harvard Graduate School of Education, and she also holds a management degree from Manipal Institute. At the core of her work, Archana, across all her roles and teams, her passion is for unleashing human potential in all. Welcome, Archana. Thank you for joining in. And with that, I'm going to actually hand it over to you, Archana, to take this session ahead.
Thank you, Jasmine. Tiasha and Mahalakshmi, so grateful to you for having joined us today. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us today at this info session. What we're going to do over the next 5 to 6 minutes is situate this conversation that we'll have with Tiasha and Mahalakshmi by taking a step back and really looking at what is it that we do as ILSS and where this program comes into context. For some of you, ILSS is potentially a household name in your organization. For some of you, it might be new. And so this is a little bit of recap, orientation based on where you are at. So for us at ILSS, this is our big dream. The social sector organizations are all doing some incredible work in the sector. And how can ILSS be India's finest institution for leadership development to spearhead nation building? That's really our vision. And so why we exist is to develop inspired leaders for deeper social impact at scale. And how we do this is, if we go to the next slide, we'll see that most likely you probably know of ILSS through one or more of these, right? One is our learning programs, which is mostly what is the visible component of our work, which is both for corporate leaders as well as social sector leaders who want to come together and really strengthen India's social sector towards building India. So, learning programs are a key part of what we do. Knowledge creation, which is what are some of the ways in which we can create knowledge for the wider sector? This could be linked to a program, this could be linked to something that's a concurrent theme in the sector, it could be something that's a biggest pain point for the sector. But what's really the knowledge creation for the wider sector that we look at? So that's the second key pillar of our work. And the third pillar of our work is really the network building, which of course starts with our program alumni. And as we talk to Tiasha and Mahalakshmi, we'll hear a little bit more about that, right? One is your program network. The second is the ILSS network, and more broadly, the sector network, right? So that's really the three big pillars of our work. The chances are, as we go to the next slide, where we've listed out the different programs, that you've probably either participated in a program, know somebody who's been in a program, or have seen it or heard of it. These are all the programs that we've launched so far since the time we started 5 years ago. And we're very grateful to have worked with over 700 leaders who've gone through our program across 300 plus organizations in the sector, right? So these are all of our programs. The first two, which is the leadership program and the board program, are for corporate leaders who want to be part of the social sector. And the other programs on fundraising, people practices, emerging women's leadership, and the SPO governance are for social sector leaders who are looking to strengthen their leadership and the organization. So that's a little bit of how we approach our work in itself. Can we go to the next slide? And so, if you look at what we are setting out to do, we've just had a vision reset, ILSS 2.0, as we call it. Our big hope is really that by 2030, can we work with close to 1,400 leaders from across 1,300 SPO, social purpose organizations, and with 4,000 leaders who are in the sector, essentially saying that there's so much potential in the sector, and can we focus on leadership as a lever to really unlock all of this potential? So that's a little bit of the overall work at ILSS. And then if we double click on this program, which is a very dear program to us at ILSS, given that we're also a team that's led and has a lot of women in key positions in the organization. If we go to the next slide. So the Emerging Women's Leadership Program was really born out of a research which said, what does it take to what does it take to have women really excel in the sector? And so if we go to the next slide, here the main question which we when we started was to say, are we building organizations that value women? Because the research actually focused on overall women in leadership and said, what is it that women need to succeed and to thrive, right? And are we building organizations that value women? And this is one of the quotes that really anchored us from Sudha, one of our senior sector leaders who's currently the CEO of the NUD Center for Social Innovation, who said, it's not about having women thrive in an organization that's created for men, right? Are we building organizations that value women? If the organization isn't wired to leverage feminine styles of leadership, women will continue to struggle to fit in and then will run into barriers in attaining their full natural potential. And so this program was born out of saying, okay, what is it that we need to do together to be able to help our women both work on themselves, but also together, how do we carve out the community where we can really thrive? So this is a quote that anchored our research, which then led to creation of the program. More recently, we did a LinkedIn poll to see what is the buzz now, right? Like, what are people really thinking about this theme? And so if we go to the next slide, you will see that this was a LinkedIn, a set of polls that we ran over the last 4 to 6 weeks, which had questions, and we had over 60 respondents in total, right? And we wanted to get a sense of what's concurrent, what's people thinking today, and how does it corroborate with the research that we did 1 year ago, right? So one of the questions was, what are the strengths women bring to leadership roles? And you can see here that in addition to general leadership skills, which are really critical, majority believe that empathy and communication, which is almost even more important given the complexity of the social sector, came out as a key strength that women bring to leadership roles. If we go to the second question, the second poll, and then the question that we asked was, what are some of the systemic barriers faced by women? And there, no surprises, for where people said the top one is lack of a support network. And we've seen where a village truly comes together to not just help the child learn, right, but to truly help a woman succeed and to operate at her full potential. So that was the second thing that we saw. And then if we look at the third poll and the third question, we also said, what are some of the internal challenges that we see? And then here again, because of so many years of conditioning and the narratives we've been told and we've been telling ourselves, a fear of failure and imposter syndrome came up as huge, huge challenges or self limiting biases. And the last one was really we wanted to know, what is the role of the professional tribe, right? What does it take to do this together with folks? And again, here over 50%, one literally half of it felt that it was a tribe who believed in their abilities and that really mattered in helping them succeed. And so this was a huge validation for us in this work to say, you know what, there's a unique opportunity for women when they succeed in the sector and they succeed in leadership roles. And what are some ways in which we can work with women on both some of the challenges that are faced as individuals and also at an organizational and systemic level? So this is a little bit of the recent study that we did, which also, of course, connected to the original research study that we did. And so, how does this connect to the program outcomes, right? So, if you go to the next slide, if we look at it, these are the program outcomes that we're looking at, right? One is, can we decode gender, right? How does gender play a role? And we've grown up with narratives of gender. So, can we really understand gender? What are some of the competencies that need to be built? And so focus on capacity building is another key part. Understanding the self, the peers, we've already spoken about it. What is the work on self? What is the work of the tribe? And also really being able to keep this action oriented. And so how do we have a personal development plan so that we're able to track the progress and the learning? So that's a little bit of the journey in itself. um, I'm going to pause here and then bring our two guests to really hear it from them, right? Because you've so far heard a bit about the ILSS journey and the program. And here we have two stellar women from our cohorts 2 and 3. And so we'll ask them how their journey has been, because I think that's really hearing it from the horse's mouth. And so, Tiasha and Mahalakshmi, welcome again, and would love to get this started to really, because people have signed up to listen to your experiences, your learnings. So tell us, actually, to start with, what made you apply to the program? How was it, and what was in your mind when you applied to the program?
You want to?
Start, Yusha.
Good. Great. I think so for me, it was actually one of these sessions that I had attended before I actually applied, wherein Anu was speaking with other members who had done the first cohort, who were part of the first cohort. And I found it very fascinating, just the title, right? Emerging Women's Leadership. What does that even mean? There's a lot to unpack with that. And I thought, okay, I felt that was really fascinating to hear about how the members who were there from cohort 1, who spoke about their journeys, who spoke about how their program for them the program was. And I thought That's interesting, but okay, maybe this is not for me. I don't know if I fit in something like this. I don't know if I'm looking at myself as a leader in the first place. And that's where I think I stopped thinking about it until leaders from my own organization, who also, which is a very women-led organization, and who have also been part of ILSS through the different courses that are available. And they said, okay, this is there, and we would like you to be a part of it. And I was pretty like gobsmacked. I was like, okay, that's strange. I don't know, what are you expecting of me, or I myself don't know what is this supposed to mean for me, when I was not at all looking at, what a course like that could mean for my role. I was at that time very focused on fundraising, and I'm like, yeah, I need to learn about what fundraising means and what this sector is all about, and so on. But I think one of my first conversations was with somebody who's present here from ILSS, is Adil, and I shared all of these thoughts and like all sorts of like inhibitions I had in my own head about this. And I thought that conversation really actually pushed me to say, you know what, let's go ahead, give it a try, let's see what happens. That feeling of that somebody heard what I was conflicted about, that feeling of why I didn't think this was something that could be useful or that could be important for the journey that I have taken or embarked upon. And so that welcoming feeling, that sense of, yes, we'll listen, we'll figure out, and we'll know what this is, what this could be. I thought that in itself is a big green flag in my head, and I was like, yes, I'm going to go ahead. And I think why I did this program is something I'm still answering in different waves, and what it means for me. But yeah, this is I will stop. Wow.
Thank you, Tiasha. And Maha, what is it to you?
Yes, yes. Uh, when my HR from my organization forwarded the brochure, and when I opened my inbox and I saw this emerging, as she mentioned, Tiasha mentioned the title, that kind of, strike the chord, and I just opened the brochure. And once when I went through the course content, I like the second module where you mentioned about leading self and others. So that was, I truly believe the change should happen from us, and then only it can kind of, create that effect. So that captured my attention. And me having over a 10 plus years of experience in the same organization and being in the communication line. So the interaction with the same ecosystem with an external folks, were very limited. Of course, we did have, but it was always from programmatic lens, and the interaction with the fellow team members or outside organizations were kind of limited. So I was always waiting for the opportunity where I can kind of, interact and meet diverse set of people across the country and learn especially from them how it is to be and what drives each one of us to be in the social space. Because having been in various other domain earlier, for me still having 10 plus years, still think why we have to be in the social sector and what makes each one, and more so the young people who are kind of, signing up. So that was very attractive and interesting. And basically, I felt the space for women, what was kind of, achieved through the Emerging Women Leadership Program, absolutely was what I was looking for. I could, meet so many people across the different domains across the country, and listen to their triumphs, trials, and tribulation, and it was really very nice. And that was my first expectation and the picture, and I would say that was met.
Sure, sure. Mahalakshmi, you already started talking a little bit about how those expectations played out. If you were to now look back at the program, what would you say? This is again a question to both of you, right? What would be top one or two key learnings that you've had from this program based on your unique journey and where you are at?
Yeah. For me, I can personally say in this years of experience, the hesitation to reach out to people for help or for sharing completely what is in our mind, the ideas or the thoughts. It is we have created our own narrative, right? So for me, that was kind of through this program. one of the sessions where they kind of highlighted about how we have to come out of the drama triangle, how we have to have a helicopter view of any situation. That really helped me. That was a key learning. So, it is always the self doubt, right? And we are more than the self doubt, we always think for others. That empathetic angle stands out in every conversation. If you have to give additional work to a fellow colleague or reach out to them, oh my God, what they will think? Will it kind of, be added work for them? Will they be able to meet? So we raise the questions, we raise the answer, and everything is within us. So we don't speak up, and we later crib that, oh my God, it's not happening our way. So these were the things. So for me, that how to come out of this drama triangle, have an helicopter view of all the situations, how do we address it? That really helped me. And moreover, the importance of having our own personal board members. That is really helpful. We always just go to work, finish, and then come and attend to our work. But we don't think, I mean, for that matter, I didn't get an opportunity or I didn't invest enough time. Like, what are the next movements I have to make? So I think having our own personal board members is really helpful, and that was really well, highlighted through the program. So that I would say was two big, important learnings for me. Yeah.
Sure, sure. Thank you, Mahalakshmi. And Tiasha, what was it like for you?
I think for me, I would say the program came in at a very opportune moment in my journey. I recently transitioned into the deputy CEO role, and that's a big transition in terms of like going in from a role where I was just accountable for myself to now that I'm accountable for the work that's happening in the organization that I'm part of. I think that transition was very difficult for me to navigate as I went along. And I think the key learnings through the program, I think, came in as I was, going through that process. And I think one of the biggest things for me, very much like what Mahalakshmi, you mentioned about the module on self, right? And I think that really clicked because it was very important that while there is a professional angle, yes, there is that professional transition taking place, but who am I in that journey? How am I placing myself? How much do I understand about my own strengths? What are certain things that I would like to learn and improve upon? And I think that was very crucial. And I think through the program, what it nudged me to do was actually um, invest a lot of time in reflecting about these pieces. I think that's one big thing and something that I still carry with me that I want to like have structured time to say. I'll find anybody who is ready to listen and say, you know what, I want to talk to you and I want to like debrief what's happening. Like I want to talk to you, I want to understand this, get people's opinions and views and feedback, and that's been one of the most important pieces. And I think another piece which I quite resonate, with when it comes to building that sense of strong communication skills, and actually one of the pieces that came in with the poll itself. I thought that was really unique to see because in my organization, there are women who are married, who have children, who are managing their own families, their like in-laws families, and lots of other things are happening in for people's lives. I think one of the biggest learnings for me was that how can I, as a leader, be cognizant of these realities of people within my own organization and the stakeholders that we work with on a daily basis, and keep that in mind when we're going ahead and working with them with that lens of empathy and understanding where they're all coming from. So yeah, I think for me it would be these two things.
Sure, sure. Tiasha, I'll ask you to stay on that, right? So if these two are some of the key learnings that you've had, what has it been like since the time you completed the program till now? Because for us, the program is the starting point of this journey, right? And then you have some learnings during the program. And the proof of the pudding is when you start applying these, right? And how well and how consistently you're able to apply it. So give us like a preview into that. How have you been implementing the learnings of the program since then? What has been easy? What's been tough? And what's that journey been like?
Right. I think one of the things I should like maybe like transparency is that during the course, I was super overwhelmed. Like there came like day one, I was like, oh my God, I don't know what's happening. There are all these people who are so experienced, have so much more understanding. What am I doing here? What can I even bring to the table? And I don't know if this is the right fit for me at this point. But I think one of the big factors is the nurturing environment that comes in with the program, with everybody that's there in your cohort at ILSS and with the faculty and everybody. I think the encouragement I got to say, stick with it. This is important. This is something, you're lucky that you're able to do this at a younger age. And I thought that was really important as an anchor for me at that point to say that don't overthink. It's fine. Like take it as it comes. And you will find a way to, make this work as you go along and make it your own and not something that's being told to you in some manner. So I thought keeping that in mind was very, very useful. And I would say that in those, we had 6 weeks and the residential when our cohort was there. And I think at that point, there's a lot of things that one may feel that, okay, I'm not able to grapple and understand. But as you go along, even after the course is over, there's so much that one can pick on and learn. And I think one of the interesting pieces for me has been because the right transition, feedback, delegation. These were like skills that I was trying to figure out how to make it work and really understand from people that I'm working with. And now that I'm leading a team, what does that really mean for me? And I had all of these things in my plan. I think what really helped was to break those goals into like short term, medium term, long term, see what that would look like, actually figure out who are the kind of people that I would want to talk to. And that is a practice I still hold very, very like closely for me and continue to. In fact, I've been telling it around to everybody at my organization that this is it, like this is the structure that we need to follow. And then I think that's one big piece as to it's given me a lot of frameworks and like sparks to keep going as we move along. And one of the biggest things like this planning and really understanding yourself. What does it mean to be a leader really? And I think that's another question that we delved in quite a bit, even during the course, and something that I continue to add um, for myself and also for leaders in the organization. Because when many of them are new leaders, they're all trying to understand what does that mean for themselves. And I think figuring that out collectively and having these frameworks was really useful. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tiasha. Mahalakshmi, how was it for you?
Yeah. It was nice listening to Tiasha. And yes, for me, important was of leveraging the connection was very important, and it was at the right moment. So, as it was mentioned that it is intentional, right? And there should not be any hesitation in reaching out. So, just ask shamelessly. And I started applying that from the ILSS cohort member, and it was fabulous. So it was two-way. Immediately, people reached out, and I did benefit. I reached out to a couple of members. They were, thrilled to kind of share me the details, and my work got faster. Otherwise, where I would have invested a week, now it is just matter of one message in a group, and waiting for the response. So leveraging connections is important, and we should not have any hesitation. That was my biggest takeaway. And one more very important, crucial thing is putting myself as a hero in my journey. So that is important. Seldom, I was hesitant to take credits for the work I do. I don't speak up for the amount of work it is done. I always underestimated, though I overproduce, that whether is it sufficient, is it okay, should I kind of tell, want it be how others will interpret. Always this was kind of, stop me from portraying or the achievements or the contributions I've been doing. So when I realized that, it is okay. If I can't speak of my deliverables or my work, who else will speak? And I can't assume that others will make a note of it. Each one has their plate full. So for me, the first thing is, it is not like now I'm going and telling everyone, but that hesitation is not there when the time comes to speak up and to claim my space, telling that, okay, this is what I have done. So that has been my very important personally and professionally. Okay,
Yeah.
otherwise there was, okay, let others take it. It was that. So,
Yeah. That's beautifully said. Tiasha, you want to add?
Yeah, which is like, as in like a personal instance also. And I think this is something that I was sharing in one of the alumni meet circles that happened, that has recently started. Very, very excited for that. But I think when I transitioned into the role, I almost hid the fact that I did actually transition. I would not go up and tell people, okay, yeah, that's a designation. I'm like, who cares about designations or whatever? But I realized exactly what Mahalakshmi is saying, that I was not claiming that identity for myself, and I was not feeling confident about it. And that's why I didn't want to share. But I think with time, slowly, as I've been speaking to people, and in fact, a lot of people from my own cohort and many others, I think one thing I definitely realized, the kind of encouragement and support, like they truly are a tribe, right? And they're always are going to have your back. So I thought that was really, really important to see and know that there's like a band of people there to support you. And yeah, I think I feel a lot more confident in about saying what I do, how I do, and who I am. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautifully said. Tiasha and Mahalakshmi, you both touched on this. Can you share about how you viewed the cohort that you were a part of, right? Both during the program and since the program till date. Mahalakshmi, I know you've mentioned about how something that could have been done in a week was just a WhatsApp group message, and then you got some inputs. That's lovely to hear. How has this cohort been for you, both during the program and after the program? And would love to hear some examples as well.
right, yeah, sure. Uh, I felt like I have been very lucky to get the right set of people wherever I go. So I would say, I mean, it was really, really very nice. So, frankly speaking, listening to the speakers, interaction with the cohort members, listening to their stories during the huddles after each and every session, felt me I gained the experience or learnings from reading 500 odd plus books. It was like that. I would say that it was that kind of experience it was. Each one sharing without any hesitation in the safe space about their trials and tribulations and their achievements and I know wherever they are coming from. It was just, I mean, you will kind of go inward and understand, okay, what made me stop? If they could do that, I had all this. That was a feeling. So it was really very nice, and all young group holding very responsible positions in their organization or leading some organizations. So that was really very nice. And post every session, once you will get emotional also. And once when we go up and say that, oh my God, I thought only I was alone. I didn't know that so many of you, so many of them have faced the same similar situations or same problems. So that felt that like we are not alone in this, and there are so many people who are working with us. So for me, that was there, and it was really very helpful. And post the session, post the entire program, we are still in touch. We are having informal catch up. We are meeting. We are also planning to have a vacation shortly with our own peer group.
Uh,
Yeah, so I mean, we are kind of planning that and sharing our achievements, success, and in case if you're stuck with some problem, so we just put that, okay, can you help me? And immediately there is a response. Why don't you try here? Why don't you reach out? So
yeah.
in fact, I reached out without taking the name to one of my cohort member I know who has that experience. And it was morning 7 o'clock. I just messaged her. Within no time, she shared me a couple of contacts, which was really helpful. So I felt that, this is not that it is like done. As you said, it is a journey. now I can say I have, as Tiasha mentioned, that we have some group of people who are with us where we can kind of rely on them for our
Yeah, yeah,
requirements or exchange of
yeah.
pleasantries.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Beautifully said, Mahalakshmi. In fact, as we've been speaking to our participants over time, right, as they become alumni and 3 months pass, 6 months pass post the program, two themes that really seem to be emerging is that it's not just me. I think very often we have this thing of, oh, maybe I'm the one who's looking at this, and then it's actually not you. It's and often we're able to hold that perspective for the other person much more easily than we're able to hold it for ourselves, which is the second thing that we heard, right? That we're not in this alone. Like there are people who get us, who get our role as women, and it's not just about, the functional roles that we play or the designations, but these are just women who get us. And that almost feeling of lightness is liberating is something we've heard.
correct.
Thank you for sharing that. Tiasha, how's it been for you with the cohort?
It's been wonderful. I keep telling people. So I carry with me the ILSS bag that I received. And a lot of times people have actually thought that, oh, she works at ILSS. And I'm like, yeah, this is like my organization only. And I think that's the feeling that you get with people in the cohort with ILSS. And it's really like a family. There is like, I mean, if I'm feeling low, I know who to talk to. If I'm feeling happy, I know who to talk to. And I think that's the beauty of having a space where uh there is, even though we're coming from so many different contexts, so many different like organizations and work that all of us do, but I think what binds us together is that feeling of, I know this is an open space where I can surely talk to people and understand how to get over any problem or really share any of my achievements. And I know that there's always going to be people. Um, like there are so many times that I've reached out to that have, because I was a fundraiser, I've reached out to there were many other such fundraisers in the cohort, and we all like bandied together, and we was like, oh, there's this handbook that we can create together, and we started working on that. Or saying that we can like share each other's like share different events or networking spaces that we can all be a part of, and really use that opportunity well. That's something that we have always shared. People have like shared in terms of, okay, I needed somebody with help to help with like impact assessments that we wanted to hold, and immediately I knew, okay, there are these 5 people I can reach out to, and I know they'll be able to help me out with that or connect me with people. So I think um, it is really the power of the collective, right? Like how when everyone come together, it's like a little bit like Ma Durga. There are 10 hands, and that everybody has different roles that we can all play and support each other with.
Yeah. Tiasha, in fact,
Um,
that's a related question, right? How have
yeah.
you seen the program build a safe space to share the professional journeys? Because both of you are talking a lot about the cohort being able to share with one another. And what did you find and how did the program play a role in that?
I think one of the biggest pieces that helped was the residential aspect of it. I think just having to see everybody in person, spend that amount of time together was really useful before we got into the online space itself. We got a lot of time to like talk to each other, and I think built in through the sessions itself, there was space for people to share about their stories and talk to us about how they are feeling. So I thought that was very, very important. That held together. I think the other structure was the peer learning group that we all had, and um, I think something that was really well curated. I would say that we were put together in groups where we knew that everybody had different experiences and contexts, but I think that came in very well. Again, as a space where we were given time to speak to each other, talk to each other about issues and things like that. So I thought that's in the structure and the framing of the curriculum itself, it was useful. And obviously, through these spaces that were created quite intentionally, but I think worked out very beautifully.
Sure. Mahalakshmi, anything to add there for you? What helped you build that safe space?
Yeah. I recall like post every session, we were kind of, asked to reflect and synthesize in small huddles. And, that was really very nice from the larger team where we were in a huddle, reflecting and sharing. And that created some amount post our boot camp that created some amount of space, safe space for exchanging and, sharing our uh, very, very, free flowing thoughts and which they wouldn't have shared otherwise. That was there. And for me also, it was like, I don't know, if that moment I felt like sharing. It was good. So we don't get to often talk about those. And it was created during the gender discussion or leading self and others or what challenges and during the why questions and so many I can break out. So the
Yeah.
reflection and synthesize is really helpful post every session. That was one thing. And I really thoroughly enjoyed, and it is a terrifically tiny tales session. So where everyone had to prepare the TED Talk kind of speech, and each one kind of it was very spontaneous at the boot camp, and later we had to kind of narrate our own stories. And those sessions really helped to go inward and share whatever is what captured, what was tapped for so long.
Sure, sure.
So things were
Agreed.
nice.
Thank you for this. So this has we've spoken a little bit about the cohort and how we've collaborated with the cohort. There's a question from one of our attendees on, and to both of you, on what are some steps you took to leverage the network? And the participant is saying that since the person personally struggles with networking and asking shamelessly and wants to build the skill, how did you go about leveraging the network?
Right. So first, when I reached out, there was no expectation. First, I was prepared for an answer to be no. So, okay, just connect with them and say, see, if it happens, it happens. If not, it is okay. So for me, luckily, in a couple of places, then I had a requirement of, let's take it for an intern. So I had to message two people saying that, do you have any reference for interns? So one said that, no, I am struggling. And, after a long time, we are connecting and there was an hesitation. So I was prepared. Next happened to say soon that was so nice to connect after so many months back. I will duly look into and give. It is a change in mindset what one has. One took that, okay, she just came now after 6 months. One said, oh, wow, you came after 6 months, fine. So I'm saying go without any expectation. At the best, what will happen? No, it's okay. You can try otherwise. And there will be always, it's a very small world. There will be an people will be kind of coming back in circles. So it's okay. So be prepared with the no answer. Then just drop a message. Do not hesitate. Take the first step. Yeah.
Well said, Mahalakshmi. Tiasha?
I think one of the things that I realize is that we ourselves put in a lot of self inhibitions that, this person will feel like, oh, why is she like, reaching out to me after so many years or months, or, this person is not going to respond to me, or I may not have the strongest relationship with this person to ask for something like this. And I thought one of the things that helped me was like, just ask. Nothing, like what could possibly go wrong? Like Mahalakshmi said, like maximum they'll say no. And I think oftentimes, like 8 out of 10 times, I would say I've always been greeted with solutions and like happy, like welcoming messages. It's never really been about, that, oh, I'm not going to talk to you. And if they don't reply, that's also fine. And I don't think we should go in with that judgment itself. And I think that's something, in fact, when I came in and there was this, I saw the session on networking, I'm like, yeah, this is very important, because I thought that it's the worst space to be. It's such an awkward feeling that one gets sometimes, and I don't want to talk to people unnecessarily or what they might think about me. But I think that consistent practice of saying, you know what, go ahead and try, see what happens. And I think also what helped is that, again, within the cohort, there are people who are always going to help you and support you. So I think that was a nice practice ground to begin with and say, let's try here and then like keep expanding. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Beautiful. I'm going to combine two questions that have come around the cohort in itself, right? So, one of the question is, who would you say is the best fit for the program, right? And another participant has asked, would you be able to comment on the variance in the experience years, the kinds of experience, age group, life stages in the cohort? And how has that helped you and your journey through leadership as you went through the program? Anyone can start.
Yes.
I think, I mean, I started with that, and I did feel like maybe age is going to be a factor, that I'm not fit for this just because of that, or that I don't have lots of experience to share. What can I? And I think one of the biggest things is that there's like a gold mine full of learning that one can get from this space. And I think that's something that one can leverage really well. And that's why I wouldn't say that there's a specific type of people who this is a fit for. It really actually, for me, I feel like it depends on where you're at and what are you seeking with regards to your role, in where you're at in your journey. And I think that's very crucial for one to understand. And I think um, for for me, I did feel like that for a while. On the first day, like I said, I was feeling very overwhelmed about all of this. Um, but I think I realized that there's a lot of learning to happen. Two, um, that's really just a construct. Like that's not so much of an inhibition or like a barrier that comes in once people are talking, they're sharing, we're all learning. It's a collective journey and everybody is in different stages. I think that's the view to have and
Sure, sure.
continue.
And Tiyasha, how has it been for you to be and that's a little bit about your journey, right? And your cohort had people with very different types of experiences, years of experiences, people in different age groups, people who are in different life stages, people who are playing different roles. How did that play a role in your journey as you all went through this cohort together?
I think it gave me a window to also think about what those stages would mean for me as I come across those phases also. And I think like just to I often think about, oh, once I get married, will that mean for me that okay, I have to stop working, or like what might that look like for me? And I think that space really gives me a lot of confidence that there's so much that women are doing and they're doing so well. I think that inspiration was really useful, and to keep building on that gave me a lot of motivation as we moved along. So I thought that was very, very key to my journey and really understanding as to why this was important. And also, um, yes, people do come from different organizations, have certain kind of experiences, but um, there are very important learnings that everybody has had in their own journey, and having that space when we've all had space to talk to each other and actually know about each other's journey was what I would say is my biggest takeaway from that setup. And that really helps to know how that person has grown into different life stages and what has happened. So I think, yeah, I think that's what my takeaway was.
Sounds good. Thank you, Tiasha. Mahalakshmi, how has it been for you to have this very different, diverse cohort? And do you think that there is a specific person or type of people for whom this is the best fit?
For me, based on my cohort experience, what I would say is there are two distinct people. Okay, two distinct category based on their life experiences or in whatever the position they are. One is wanting to learn. They have come with a lot of aspirations to do something, wanting to learn, wanting to grow. One more set of people are willing to unlearn because it is not giving them any further progress. They're willing to unlearn, relearn. So both of them are coming with a growth mindset. So I felt this learning converter and unlearning is one group. So both were having only one common thing. This is a growth mindset. So I feel that is very important. One should, irrespective of in whatever the position they are holding, in whatever domain they are working, there should be the growth mindset and wanting to kind of do something better for themselves, wanting to go to the next level. That is very important. So I could really find out with my experience, I could see my own set of group of people. They're willing to unlearn and learn some of the newcomers, new things, and whatever is there. And few they were exchanging, as like Tiasha mentioned, one of our cohort members so openly as I'm very happy to see experienced people sitting here. You've been having children, working and doing it. I mean, I'm still hesitant whether I want to start a family or focus on my career or whatever it is. So the exchange happened there, the learning happened there. So I think there is always that, give and take, wanting to exchange information, guiding, and everything is there. So I mean, it was really very nice. So both the set of people will be there and both will come one thing in common is with the growth mindset, and that is important. That's all.
Sure. Definitely. Thank you so much for that, Mahalakshmi. So if you double click on how this program and this journey has played out at work specifically, I'm going to pick up on some of the questions. And for the ones who've asked the questions, we've had Tiasha share about how she's had a role change, in fact, as she's gone through the program. And so that in itself has been a transition. And Mahalakshmi has spoken about how through the program you can approach work and areas of your work differently, right? So
Yes.
a couple of themes that are coming up is at work, what has shifted for you as you did the program? And Durga has a very specific question around, has this course helped you present your work and skills more effectively? I often find it challenging to articulate the breadth of my responsibilities. And I wonder if this course has provided you with tools to enhance your self presentation. So, if you were to throw some comments on that and also expand on it a little bit to say, at work, what are some key shifts that you've seen? Would love to hear that.
Yeah. For me, Durga, I think you mentioned it's a very right question. For me, the importance of articulation was what even I picked up from this program. And during the course of the program, and well as subconsciously, we do have allies in our area of work to make friends. That is very important. So in the meeting, or especially opposite gender, we should have allies and speak to them. What are our struggles? What are our difficulties? And they will be always there to help, make us accountable for whatever we have. That is very important. And for me, this individual development plan, whatever was given during the course of work, I do use now personally as well as professionally. It is really a very helpful tool. It's a very nice sheet, though it will help us to kind of put and go exactly on what we want to do. And this can be presented to our fellow team members and, reporting heads. And this has been really helpful. And my immediate team members did find out the difference in the way I approach. Earlier, it was like, okay, this is the task, to take it and do it. Now I kind of sit with them, understand and where they are lacking, why it is difficult for them to comprehend. So when you just give a benefit of doubt, maybe it is not their problem. Maybe you just ask them to share their feeling, where is the difficulty, that helps. So that it takes matter of 2 to 3 minutes. Then there is an approachable feeling is there. So same thing, we can take the first step with our, during the course, we have this organizational advisors. That is also very helpful. So I'm saying that when we are stuck, it is okay to go take feedback. Feedback from our seniors, feedback from our team members, or even the people who are reporting to us is where is the area of improvement we have to focus on. So this is really helpful, and this is what helped me also. Be open to take feedback, voluntary feedback. And this will help us to improvise. And it is okay to just, if you find someone's presentation or the manner in which people other anchor the meetings or discuss, you can just compliment them. And you can just tell them that I would like to learn. So it is like you're not kind of picking up and applying it, but you're just acknowledging that you're receiving it from them and you're doing it. So in that way, the help will also be voluntary, and you will also learn in that process. So they first appreciate, approach, reach out, and then again go receive feedback voluntarily. I think this will help.
Sure, sure. Thank you, Mahalakshmi. Tiasha?
Yeah. Um, I think for me, one of the biggest things were, I mean, one session that we had about telling our own story, which was led by Amin, one of my favorite sessions that took place through that period, and I think that was actually one like a direct connection there where you can actually script your own story, write it, present it, practice it with people. I thought that was one very important piece. We don't usually get time to think about all of these things. And I understand where the person is also be coming from that, how do we articulate it better? How do we share our story more in an articulated manner, but also actually share the essence of each of our stories because they're so strong and they are important. So I thought that one piece was like very directly related and useful. Another piece, I think I would say is with regards to one thing that I did share, just like in terms of awareness of my team who I'm working with, how they are feeling, how they are able to approach me, and then how am I also able to support them with whatever that they need. I think that process became a lot more seamless, where I was able to set up spaces and structures where we could talk to each other openly, actually, build constructive feedback into the space, and not feel like there's some kind of an hierarchy between me or whoever it's that I'm working with. So I thought that was very, very crucial. The third thing, something that Mahalakshmi you also mentioned was there's the part about organizational advisors who are people from your own organization who are there in your leadership or someone that you can build your journey with as you're in that in the organization. Um, for me, that was one of the most important aspects because I was able to get time to and dedicated time to unpack what my leadership would look like, what is my role, what is it that are expectations of me in the organization, and what are my expectations of the organization and the work that are there. And that equal leveling is very, very important. So I thought that is something I was able to do a lot more confidently and share how I felt through it. So yeah.
That's a lot of really, really rich learnings that you all have had. Any final piece of advice to our prospective applicants slash participants?
I'm saying don't think twice, just enroll and go with zero expectation. You will receive multifold. So I'm saying it is a wonderfully, framed uh, sessions and modules. So you will really learn a lot. So I think you should sign up.
Yes, I think on similar lines, I think we were saying earlier before everybody joined in that there's a lot more that we gain through this process, and that's very, very important. So I think that was really nice. Thanks, and I would like lot of gratitude to ILSS for bringing together all of these different people. I don't know if I would have met everyone otherwise. And I'm very, very, I feel very lucky to have everyone, to have met everyone and the relationships that I have now with my cohort and even other cohorts as we're moving along. And I think one of the quotes I actually pulled up my ILSS diary. But one of the quotes I was just skimming through the pages that we had come across during the course was you're allowed to be a masterpiece and a working progress simultaneously. I think that's something that stayed with me a lot and something that comes alive through this course a lot. So I think please sign up, register. This is a great space to be.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tiasha and Mahalakshmi. And folks joining us, if you also want to join this part of the tribe, I'll bring Saimi in to share a little bit about our next steps for those keen on joining this journey to unleash your potential and together really support other women to do this. Saimi, I'll bring you in. Tiasha and Mahalakshmi, thank you. It's not just very grateful for you having come back and sharing your journeys with us. It's also extremely, like, I was having goosebumps as I was hearing this, because this is what we set out to do, right? And to see the journey is very, very beautiful. Thank you so much for joining us. Saimi, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm struggling with my internet suddenly. So I'll try and stay online. Payal, are you sharing or should I share my screen? Okay. Thank you so much, Tiasha and Maha. Like we had imagined, this was a wonderful conversation. It was lovely to listen to your journey. I mean, of course, we've been a part of it, so it doesn't feel like I'm looking at it from a distance. It almost feels like I've had a front row seat to it. So yeah, people who are on the screen want to know a little more. There's a lot of information that you might have already received through the brochures. Here are some of the key takeaways for our participants. Payal, if we can move to the end in the interest of time, for the application details. Yeah. So our most of this is there in your inbox, or you might have been in touch with Adil and Payal. The program dates are, it's a blended program over 11 weeks. We do start on the 18th of January, which is a Thursday. We go up to Sunday. There's a 4 days of in-person rigorous learning experience. And the most beautiful part of it is that you get to engage with your cohort. That will be followed by a 10-week online learning component. The other details, the scholarship deadline, I did see a question around it, is on the screen. We do offer need-based, merit-based fellowship scholarships, so please do apply, and we'll try our best to make this program happen for you. And yes, all the numbers are on the screen. I think Adil has also shared the registration link for you to apply. And we hope to see you in this wonderful program soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And thank you again, Tiasha and Mahalakshmi, for joining us this evening and sharing your reflections with us. I'll also put it on the chat window in terms of those of you who need more information about it, as well as that poll that we did and the insights on what we learned from that. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Take care and have a good evening. Bye.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you,
all.
Archana. Thank you, Mahalakshmi.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank you,
everybody.
Tiasha. Thank you.